epoxy job went well. It's messy, of course, but the main thing is that this is flat to that part. So both sides of the crack are even. This part went in nicely as well, and even the part that I was concerned about is looking good. It might be a tiny bit proud just there, but it might be the epoxy, I can't tell yet. And I think that's pretty good in there as well. So I've just been working on the top of this headstock, and I've been using my little beautiful scraper from Ryan Gerber. These are about 25 bucks and they're fantastic. So I was using it to scrape back the slight bit of epoxy. This is proving to be a perfect tool for many a thing. The only woodworking I'm gonna have to do is right in here. There's kind of a missing piece. I'm not sure how good I'll be able to fare that in, but I'll try to without adding a bit of wood. So I have some little bits I'm just going to be filling up with Glue Boost Thin, and then I'm going to come back in and deal with color problems. So this is sealer coat. So here is the ugliest and most obvious loss. However, you can see that it's under a washer. So that is actually like this. You can see where it cracked just hitting the washer edge because this fell flat face down, and this tuner in particular punched through the back. But luckily I've got the little bit that goes in it, and again I didn't want to try and deal with this at the same time as everything else when I was gluing it up. All I'm going for here is I just want to make it flush. I don't really care if it's fitting well on the ends or anything like that. I'm going to deal with that separately. I'm going to hit that with some CA, and I'm going to really soak that in because I'll show you another angle, but it's pretty gappy underneath, so there's wood missing. It's kind of a candidate to I'm going to build up this section because that's depressed there. Probably have to do that in a few applications, so you can see how much wood's missing under there, but we'll deal with that. Here's an action shot of just filling up that depression, so where the washer punched into the wood. So overfilling by a lot. The cracks went together good, so the grain's like a rainbow and the crack goes along here. So I'm not too worried about the back, but I will probably play on the back first to try and do the next part, which I'll show you in a second. The front, there is some troubled bits, specifically here between these two and kind of in here as well. I'm not worried about this circle because the tuner will completely cover that, but it's just these other parts which I'm going to have a crack at making more invisible. And to do that, I'm going to be using little brushes. Hello, Future Beau here. It's about 2 years since I did this repair. It's now March 2024, and I think I did this in 2022. So I thought I'd talk about not the products that I used back then, but the products that I would use now to do the same thing. The first thing, I would still use epoxy for this job because the neck had so many different breaks and little pockets of things that I needed the 25 minutes open time that West Systems with the slow cure epoxy. The resin's 205 and 206 slow hardener. It gives you about 25 minutes open time, and I really needed all of it because getting everything wet with epoxy and clamping it up was a real problem. I didn't bother going into it, but the hardest part to clamp was the break that was here. There was a long crack about this far down. That, when I clamped this that way and this way, it made this pop out, and it was really difficult to clamp this curve, so I had to make this jig that sort of fit over here, and I got away with it. I was actually lucky, very lucky I think, but I spent about an hour making this call that if I put it on at the correct angle and I had the clamp going at the correct angle, it pushed everything in, and it worked. So that's why I'd use the epoxy. One thing that I do now on most epoxy jobs is I add something to it, a pigment to it, to create a color that is approximate to the wood color. And I didn't know about this product back in 2022, and therefore I had what epoxy normally gives, which is a fairly dark line. It's more noticeable obviously in maple, but the product that I now use or mix in with epoxy is the Mohawk Blend All pigments, and they come in a variety of colors. StewMax sell the black and the burnt umber, I think, and they're about $15 each, so they're kind of expensive. Apparently it's best not to mix them too much. I do, but if you can find one that is perfect for what you're doing, so this one's wheat, and that's probably something I would have grabbed for the maple and mixed with a bit of white or something. But it creates a opaque pigment or an opaque epoxy that when you spend time mixing the colors right and just allowing for the hardening process or the curing process with epoxy, which darkens very slightly the color, it's really worth it, because you, instead of trying to lighten up a dark line, it's best to go a bit lighter with the pigments, and then you just have to darken a lighter line, which is far easier. Every time I use one of these, I get a blob of it and put it on the lid just so I can know what to expect when it dries. Those two colors, reddish maple and rock maple, are pretty close together. So the second thing that I wanted to mention was how I colored over the crack and blended everything in. I used acrylic paints in this video. I wouldn't do that again, even though it worked well. What I would do now is use these Mix-All pigments these are from Stuart McDonald. You can get them on Amazon as well. Links in the description, all that sort of thing. But I would mix in just a tiny bit of this with shellac, like 1 pound or even a thinner cut of shellac, and build up the color that way. These are pure pigment, so you have to mix them into something. You can mix them into anything like nitro, polyurethane, shellac, even I guess probably CA glue. They're about like $5 each, I think, it's from StewMax, and there's heaps of different colors. That's copper, there's bronze, gold, silver, and yellow, black, green, blue, white, of course. StewMax used to sell these, what are they called? Concentrated pigments for lacquer finish, but they don't sell that anymore. But if you've got this, that would work as well in shellac. So those are the two things that I really wanted to mention that I would do differently. And you know, you continue learning 2 years on. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter who you studied with, you pick up tips and tricks along the way, and that's the beauty of it. So thank you so much. Like and subscribe. The final result ensues now. Enjoy.
Love can be a ship, a ship, a ship. Love can be a stone, a stone, a stone. Love can be a sail, a sail, a sail, taking me to shore, to shore, to shore. Love can be a dream, a dream, a dream. Love can be a game, a game, a game. Love can keep you real, so real, so real, or driving you insane. It's my creation. Play and create, nothing's too safe. Play and create. Oh, it's my creation. Play and create, nothing's too safe. Play and create. Well, it's my creation. Play and create, nothing's too safe. Play and create. It's my creation. Play and create, nothing's too safe. Play and create. Well, it's my creation. Play and create, nothing's too safe. Play and create. Oh, it's my creation. Play and create, nothing's too safe. Play and create. It's my creation. Life can be a kite, a kite, a kite. Life can be a string, a string, a string, lifting me up high, up high, up high, teaching me to sing, to sing, to sing. Lights of red and green, of red and green, coloring the scene, the scene, the scene. Metal, wood, and fire, and fire, and fire, bringing me this tune. Well,